The number you have dialed has been changed.
Ward 7 Alderman William Bill Shea won his record 41st consecutive term. The 116-year-old alderman, the illegitimate offspring of former Secretary of the Navy Frank Knox and his Irish maid Bridget Shea, was first elected to the board during the Democratic sweep of 1933. 82 years later, Shea crushed his opponent, despite being limited to only campaigning at night. Queen City citizens with long memories will remember that Shea, who was a corporal in the Yankee Division during the Great War, was stationed in Transylvania after the cessation of hostilities on November 11th, 1918. He was bitten in the private parts while visiting a brothel by a prostitute who turned out to be Dracula's daughter. A quick-thinking patron saved Corporal Shea's life by taking him immediately to a local mohel. Now, for viewers not of the Jewish persuasion, a mohel is a ritual circumciser. Snip, 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 snip. Upon returning to Manchester after being demobilized, Bill Shea was able to lead a surprisingly robust life, given that he was now technically a vampire. His good health reportedly was the result of blood transfusions obtained from frequent trips to the Red Cross blood bank. Alderman Shea today set yet another record when Mike Lopez, chair of Manchester's Veterans Council, announced that the centenarian, Joel, you should really help me with that one, the centenarian would once again be the Grand Marshal of the Veterans Day Parade for the 41st consecutive year. 41 consecutive terms as alderman, 41 consecutive years as Grand Marshal of the Veterans Day Parade. Can those records ever be bested? The political grapevine says that whoever wants to beat Bill Shea and become Ward 7 alderman would be better relying on a wooden stake rather than the ballot box.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note...
Hi, and welcome to Ward 13. I forgot my stake and I forgot my hammer, but I brought a challenger to Billy Shea right over here. Ross Terrio. Are you going to officially announce that you are running for alderman for Ward 7 tonight on Ward 13 with Jim O'Connell at your side?
My good friend Jim, but Bill Shea's not running for alderman. He's going to retire.
He's not? Yeah, did you... My God. You didn't put a stake through his heart, did you?
No, I talked about it. I like Bill. He's a great guy. He actually lives right down the street from me, right around the corner.
Same ward?
Yes.
That's
Ward
a joke.
7.
That was a joke. I'm here all night. Actually, I'm not here all night.
I talked to Bill. He's going to retire, and I'm going to run for alderman.
So Bill's actually, you are a Republican. People have asked me about that because, you know, you are considered a moderate.
Yes, I'm originally from Massachusetts, so I'm a Massachusetts moderate.
Yes, you've used a more colorful terminology in the past.
I know what a Massachusetts moderate looks like.
What's that?
He doesn't look like you. But that's neither here nor there.
Is it Bill Weld or Mitt
Yeah,
Romney?
Bill Weld. Yeah, Bill Weld. Mitt Romney. There's two Massachusetts moderates.
Jeff Casella was sitting at the diner. The Red Arrow Diner, and he was sitting in a booth as just his own self.
Yeah.
And one of the waitresses says, "You can't sit there." And I guess he said, "Well, you should have told me that before I sat down and started ordering." And then Bill Weld walked in and sat down with him and talked to him. And the rest is history, as you said.
Recently? Like this
Yeah,
cycle?
yeah. It was the day he came to town last week.
Now, question about Bill Weld, and nothing against the guy, but I voted for him before. He looks like people say he's a heavy drinker. Any idea if that's true?
Well, he's a WASP, so I would say that they're not known for heavy drinking. Now, if he was an Irishman, Right, Jim?
Wasps aren't known for heavy drinking. I don't know. I knew a few wasps. I've had some fun nights out drinking
John
with some
Cheever,
wasps.
maybe.
But he does look not to be silly, but they
Got that ruddy complexion.
Well, it looks like he's ready to run for president. You have to go orange now. Like if you go full on orange, you probably win. So maybe that's what it is.
My dad was French and Irish Catholic. He was a heavy drinker, and he had that
French
ruddy
Canadian,
complexion.
Ross.
French and Irish.
French
McGuinness.
Canadian.
Oh, that's what my
French.
Or are you being, pretending, you didn't come
French
out of
Canadian
Quebec.
Irish.
That's what my kids will be. So will be. That's what they are, right? So
French Canadian Irish.
Yeah, because my wife is Irish and French Canadian.
Like
Good
my mother.
combination.
So they're so it's as genuine Manchester as you can get.
Well, that and Italians and Irish too. Maybe it's because of the Catholic background.
Right.
Hey, you could just put the camera on these two.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Me and Jim have decided
He's hijacking
we're
the
going to
show
hijack
again.
your show again.
yeah, because we wanted to talk because I don't have I don't can't be here all night much as I would like to, Ross. But so you missed last night's meeting.
What happened at last night's meeting?
Well,
I will just say from off screen.
So it was
Okay.
a board of school
Off
committee
screen.
The
meeting.
board of school. So the subcommittee on negotiations
Right.
decided, because we had come to an impasse with the teachers, we decided to release all the work that we had done.
Right.
And that's basically what happened.
We
But-
did, or did Rich Gerard?
Well, the whole committee decided
Yeah.
to do that.
He's
So
You
just
mean the
it's
entire BOSC?
No.
called- the entire BOSC was there except for myself. I was working. Kelly and
Are
Mary.
you on the? You're not on the negotiating.
Yes, I
committee.
am.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, but we.
Because see, Jim, you know this.
But
like,
Jim, now you
backwards
had
and
you
forwards.
didn't appreciate the meeting, I guess. What was your
well, look-
constructive criticism?
Yeah, well, it's the only kind because one doesn't want to be destructive for no. So I went to the meeting and I had read the document online and
All 300
No,
plus
I
pages?
actually
344 pages.
I did glance through the 300
Okay.
and something pages.
He's
but
still going through the Mueller
when I
report.
got to the spreadsheets, I mean, I made the point on my show tonight that if I was on the board of a company, the CEO came in and I asked him, how was the acquisition of this merger going, and he showed up and he gave me 330 pages of spreadsheets, I'd throw him out of the room and say, look, can someone come in and explain give me the executive view? So I'm not knocking that at all, that it shouldn't have been there.
Let me just interject something real quick. So we wanted all the information to be out
Please
there.
do.
We didn't want to hide the ball, so to speak.
Right.
But they wrote a summary in
Yes.
a few.
And-
So basically, the meeting was a summary of what our positions were. So that
Has
people
that
didn't
ever
have to
been
go-
done before, Jim?
I don't think so. I don't think we've at least not in my recollection.
And
No,
is
not
it
in the special
irregular
meeting.
for? How many years have you been following the school board?
Close to 20, I would guess.
whole life?
And so this is
Yeah, I'm 24.
This is brand new.
Well, no.
Impasses in contracts.
So in
is
past
brand
contracts, usually this stuff gets negotiated.
grandstanding-
The making of the
Yeah,
well, that's
is it?
so the making of the sausage, right? Is
Right.
like the work that goes on to arrive at a conclusion is not usually that's not disclosed and
It has never been disclosed before.
Not that that's not.
No,
that's not
it
where-
has because so.
How long have you been on the board?
6 years. This is my sixth
Okay.
year. So it would have happened in years past. Obviously, it'll be disclosed once there's an agreement,
Right.
or once there's an impasse and they reject each other's
Yes.
side. So, for instance, about a year ago, we released some information too. But in
Right.
years past, I know at least in the last year, we've released information
So-
once we couldn't. When they declared an impasse and said they didn't want it.
At my most benevolent tonight,
Yes.
I did say that. So I did say that. Look, the people on the negotiating committee. Somebody called up and asked me, particularly about Mrs. Ambrosi and Mrs. DeRocher, and was sort of saying, what didn't they do a good job last night, kind of thing. Choosing those two as people sort of saying that somehow making a difference between you and.
What did they do?
Well, nothing. My response was.
Because I know
no.
Katie DeRocher
Yeah,
came and criticized the MEA. The
So
Manchester Education
my
Association
point was
surprised
just
them.
about last night was this. I was left wondering at the end what the purpose was. I know what the stated purpose was, but as a city
Rich
and looking at it,
Girago, but we're not going to.
So-
We'll put that aside.
Basically, there were two purposes.
okay.
We're getting you elected to Welderman?
Yes, that's one of them. The overriding purpose. No. So there was a lot of criticism and urban legends, let's say, that we hadn't done anything. There was it was very sparse on
This
details.
sounds like Gerard with his acting up, like with
Yeah.
the 18-year-old girl. We got
So-
to put this all to right.
So basically, we wanted to put out there that we had worked hard, that it was a very substantive proposal, and I think I thought they did it. I actually got bits and pieces of it online, and I thought they did a good job.
But what was this for, and what's it going to accomplish?
To basically to show the public and the teachers that we have worked hard. See, the teachers are kind of in the dark where they don't really know what's going on, what's being negotiated. So we have a lot of things, we want a fair deal, negotiate. We've been negotiating, 300 pages are
I know you two guys know much more about
there
this
was
than I do.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of work done on
How
these
was it?
negotiations.
First, we heard Gerard was going to do, and it comes on from him.
I
'cause
think
he's
it's
the main
unfortunate
spokesman, that there was an impasse, and then they denied that there was an impasse.
So I look. I don't want
then
to.
there are meetings scheduled, not me. I have to say something. The MEA, I don't think, has done such a great job putting their
Terrible.
side across, and I can't understand why they weren't there last night.
They were
and
there
then
last
the other
night.
thing
They were there last night.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
But did they speak?
No.
No.
Would they have been allowed to?
No.
It was a school board meeting.
Oh yes, yeah.
Right.
But
But they can release. They're more than welcome to release all of their proposals.
Why wouldn't you let them speak?
This was a school board meeting.
Why not? Well, why not let them speak? If you want everybody to know.
I mean, they've put out op-eds, but we would love for them to put out all
And
their proposals
Gerard
and
does
cost outs.
It was in the
Make
Carol's.
it public. Make it public.
So
They're more than free to do that.
right.
What do you mean, make what public?
Oh, they've had proposals too, and costs associated with their proposals. They should make that public.
And
Which they might
in
do.
the
We
court
don't
of
know if
public
they will.
opinion, they can persuade the
right.
voters and the teachers
But-
that this is a
But,
better deal.
right, I'm just going to say something, but don't the
Sure.
teachers know what their position is? Their members, or do they know? I was in a union, but
No, it's my understanding that they might have summarized things for them, but they haven't. They wouldn't have shared the details.
Is that
with
normal?
them. I assume so.
Did they have to? If they got to a point of an agreement, they were like, if they had something that they agreed that they were going to take
Right.
back to the membership, then that would be, the full documentation would be available to the membership, and maybe there'd be an executive summary. But anybody who was interested as a member could go in and look at the complete details.
Oh, they can.
Oh yeah, they would have to actually.
Not until there's an agreement,
Not
though.
until
So
there's
it's
agreement.
secret from them until.
Well,
Yes.
no. I mean, it's secret only insofar as they choose to keep it secret. I mean, I don't know what the rules would be.
If I was a member of the
are there a
union.
negotiating committee on the? We're getting in the weeds here, but just like if you're
Inside
on negotiating,
baseball.
yeah,
Yeah, but I'm trying to understand. I'm sure a lot of other people are. Until Katie DeRocher spoke out, I could just say, well, oh, it's just, Gerard doing his obfuscation and his act.
Right,
but
right.
there seems to be something more substantive
Well,
here.
there were inaccuracies. Let's put it that way in the summation or the account of how things happened between what was claimed by the MEA representative and what actually happened. Now they can call it misunderstandings or misinterpretations.
So you're going with the
Prevarications.
school board.
Perhaps.
You believe, Jim, that the school board, what they put out as reality is true.
No, I think we're on the wrong
No, I'm
place.
just saying.
No, but we're in the wrong
But we
place.
have to understand
no,
it.
but like we're going around in circles. I don't
This
think
isn't Education
No, but
Matters, though.
anybody isn't like getting any further here. Like so my let me go to here. So yeah,
I wanna know what's
I
going
agree
on.
with one thing, and I said it to my show to someone calling tonight too. Like if this was a grading exercise for the MEA leadership and their public relations,
Right.
Then
It's fail.
it'd be
Big
there's-
F.
Yeah, wherever you can go down to Z, it's way below an F. So
I have asked
So
them-
it's been terrible, and like
on
I'm
here.
predisposed to sort of go to bat for teachers in the Manchester school
That's
system.
what I-
So
okay,
so
go ahead.
I think that so their public relations have definitely been poor. I also think the idea of the most recent meeting, and this is just taking it from what I understand to have happened, was that there was a meeting much delayed, etc., with blame on both sides perhaps, but you don't have to accept that. But in any case, there is a meeting that happens. The city has agreed, the negotiation committee has agreed well in advance of the Board of School Committee to be in a certain place at a certain time for a day-long negotiation with a mediator,
Yes.
and everybody showed up and took time off work, and Mr. Francis put it in her calendar, and others put it in their calendar, and it's all there. And on the occasion that it happens, the president of the MEA probably true. I mean, we have to take. She had to be out of state because of a bereavement, a funeral.
Yes.
So these things happen, I guess. So she's out of state. That's a big problem. That
But,
happened.
and there was an argument over
But then-
about that meeting even before that.
Correct.
day.
But if we get to the meeting, otherwise we get lost in the weeds. You get to that meeting, and then we have the vice president who
Walked
shows
up.
up and says that they are given complete authority to negotiate, as I understand it.
Yes.
And then said, but by the way, I've got to leave at 2:30 because I have a MEA meeting. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Not only that, it didn't, as I recall, it wasn't announced until about the middle of the day that she was leaving at 2:30.
Right. So
I have to say,
So
I couldn't believe that somebody would walk out.
Right.
Even if it was a question of personalities, you have to deal with the personality. Like
Right.
when you were in the Corps or I'm in the Army
Right.
or any in life, you have to deal with
Jim was in Ireland?
with the bad,
I was
top
doing it the
kick
hard
or
way.
whatever.
You know what I mean? You're the badge of the
But no, you have to deal with the situation. You play it as you
but,
let
okay,
it.
but here's
right.
so we'll go back to the
Right.
to the meeting matter.
I'm just trying to
and my
sort
problem
it
with
all
last
out.
night. My problem with last
It is
night was
sorted.
my problem with last night. It is.
Yeah, Ross is like a
The teach- well, the city is in the circumstance where it has 1,100 employees without a contract going on for over a year, right? Not for the first time in the last 5 or 6 years. In the period that you've been a member of the school board, the teachers have been out of contract as long as they've been in contract during those terms, right? So you've overseen the time, not to be, but the fact is.
Well, no, I've been 6 years, so they've been out about going on a year now,
a
right?
year, and there were 2 years. There was a 3-year agreement that was agreed by Dr. Avard. There were 2 years without it before that. So 50% of your 3 terms on the school board, you've been a member of the school board.
So you're trying to pin that on me?
No, I'm not. But I'm making a point and calling it like it is. I called out Mr. Roches and others earlier on. I'm just saying.
Why would you call them out?
Because it's equal. Well, because we've gotten ourselves in this situation. It's not because they did something individually, but there is collective ownership. People used to say to me all the time when I'd say something about poor Ted Gatzis that he was just one vote and he couldn't do anything without the board. So now I've started blaming the board as well as Mayor Gatzis, Mayor.
It's
Craig,
true.
who I got out tonight.
Nothing that Gatzis
But the
could
point-
do
I don't want to-
could be done without
Right.
either the
I'm
school
not trying to
board or
beat
the
you
board
over
of
the head. I'm
aldermen.
just trying to make a point, though, right? That what is lost if you get into the numbers and you play with these things for hours is, as the school board members have been there for 3 terms, 6 years, that for half of that time, the largest number of employees under your purview and control have not had a contract. And
But here's the thing:
I
we
think
want
that's
them to
something-
have a
No,
contract.
I understand.
We want to come to agreement. We want to give them a raise.
Okay.
In this thing, just to make a quick point,
You mean
that's
Rich
important.
Gerard wants to give them a raise?
I'm a very frugal person. Rich, I have to give him credit.
I-
He really pushed a contract that I thought was generous. But here's the thing. So we want to give them a raise. This was not a give back contract. If excuse my poor math, but for every $3.75 that we gave in pay and benefits, we're asking for about $1 in concessions. So this is not a kind of contract where they broke even or lost or even.
Well, if they were arguing and they were capable of arguing properly, they are losing. So
no, they're not losing.
Yes, they are.
How?
Well, when I start with the very first slide from last night, right?
Okay.
The whole premise is wrong, is my opinion, because the very first slide says we're on the
math problem. They have a big
that
math
it was a
problem.
big math problem. If I
Yes.
take the quote exactly, was this was not from the slides, but it was said we know we can't pay you what you deserve. Right, so all the arguments about teachers shouldn't get it and they work half days.
Can't be serious. That couldn't have been on
I
that.
want to take the school board at its word when it says we know we can't pay you what you deserve. And then our second slide goes to it's a big math problem. So the very first slide names it starts off, we cannot afford to pay you the step increase for 2019, right? So
For the first year, but they
the
were going
first-
to make
And
up
this
the
isn't
steps.
inside baseball.
no, but
It is.
the point is, right, that
What
that
is the point?
From the longer point of view, the teachers have been asked to make concessions.
No.
Numerous, not now.
Okay, maybe in the past.
Numerous times over the past, right? And when they negotiated a negotiation that lots of teachers didn't like and was eventually agreed to after 2 years of pain and not having any quotas or pay increases.
When Gatzis took over the
agreed, Dr.
negotiations.
Avard was the chairman of the negotiator.
Right,
was the
I remember
negotiator, and they agreed. And in Dr. Avard's words, we need this to move the city forward.
Well, Dr.
Right?
Avard.
But to correct something,
Okay, I just got a question.
So they lost a step. Let me just make a
Hey,
point.
I'm not-
They lost a step, but they
Ross,
agreed to a very
I'm
large.
gonna ask you a question.
To a generous.
2 steps.
Ross, we're not
But they
interested
agreed-
in the steps. We're just talking about
All right.
what was Dr. Avard's position last night?
Oh no, he just said that he was grateful. I think lots of people said the same thing. He was grateful
Because he's somebody
to
I
the negotiation
respect.
committee, to the negotiation committee for the work that they had done, and he was grateful that they had gone to the trouble of putting all those numbers and details out there. And there was unanimity about that last night.
And what
across
was
the
his,
school
but what
board.
is Dr. Averard's position? Because he's somebody, from my ward, and
He's just a school
I
board
respect
member.
him a lot.
He's a school board member.
But did he state an opinion?
I
He
don't recall.
supported, as
He supported it.
I won't speak for him, but
Was
I
it
believe
unanimous, the
he was.
support?
That,
Did
my
you have the
understanding was
unanimous
unanimous.
support
It
of
was-
Yes, I believe so.
The board was
Okay,
very
that's
supportive of the
significant.
agreement.
Yeah.
That's
And
more
and the thing is,
if you can go on a show next week and argue about step 1 and step 2, that's inside baseball. That's stuff you like. It's just what is going on, you know?
Well, what I think is, look, it's
Is
easy.
there going to be a contract before
I don't know. I don't
soon,
know.
though?
I
well, this
don't
is part of the reason why I'm glad that this happened last night, this
Let's
meeting.
talk to the-
Because
yeah.
now the voters and the teachers are able to see everything, and now they can weigh
So
into
this
their
was all
membership.
politics. This was politics.
No, this was to get
How is it not
to get the
politics?
message out, to get the contract out to all parties involved and the voters.
In a way that had never been before.
Yes, this is my understanding that this type of meeting is a very unusual meeting. And now everybody knows they're talking.
But you'd never heard about it in 20 years.
Social media today. I don't know if you were.
Yeah, I
And
saw
teachers
it.
were asking specific questions on how that would affect them.
To
about-
you guys.
to school
each
board
other.
members about how the paid time off system would work. Because they thought, some of the misinformation out there was they thought they were losing all their paid time off, and that's not true. It's being frozen, but they're still going to get it under the
How
cut-
does
the
the union
rules.
leader get all the information about the payroll? I mean, the days, sick days, and all that.
That was
because I
released.
heard that there
That was
was
released. That
released
was-
by
that
who?
was- The school board. It was also
You mean they
released-
didn't do a right to know? I thought originally it was a right to know.
It might have been a right to know. I don't know, but we released it to them. We released it to the
And
MEA.
I was told there was inaccuracies. In fact, the head of the MEA said there were inaccuracies.
Well-
She said that in front of, was it the Board of Aldermen or the school
Well,
board?
We disagree with that. They were slightly confused in that they didn't think they had received the information. We had sent it to them multiple times. Very
Not
detailed.
that what about the actual who had a sick day?
Right.
Very detailed. Obviously, for privacy information, we can't say which teacher, but we can say how many teachers at which school.
Like for instance,
redact names.
there's a statement in there which Pat Long rightfully identified last night as unhelpful.
And Pat
When-
Long was on board with the whole.
I think, well, it's
Overall?
unclear. I mean, everybody was, yes.
What was unhelpful?
What he said was unhelpful was the word chronic for absenteeism, before
That's a
absenteeism.
it's a federal definition.
No, I understand, but he was saying that the idea that there was chronic absenteeism in the Manchester school district was unhelpful. That was his point.
Here's the problem why I think, this is the reason why I think it was helpful. The MEA doesn't think there is a problem with absenteeism.
Right.
And so if you don't recognize a problem,
Right.
how can you address
So then,
it
and
and fix
I would
it?
suggest, but like, as an example, right? One of
So
the-
so going off, I remember reading that union leader article and being aghast about all the stuff that was being claimed as that somebody is away from the classroom or anything. When you're going off on like an official training or an official trip, that was being counted too?
It was broken down into, for instance, bereavement is
We should
not.
actually do we should do a thing,
So-
a show on that.
but
Or
here's
something.
the
That would be
problem.
really inside baseball. You'd lose
but
all your
yeah,
last
nobody-
two
No,
viewers.
but we should, because it is that you're talking about something critical.
No, but I am. Look, this is the problem with getting into the weeds, and I don't feel.
But you
qualified.
guys are getting into the weeds about
and I don't feel
stabs.
qualified. Like you spent more time on these numbers than I ever had. I reviewed them in preparation for last night's meeting. I don't have a nuanced, informed view, but I know once when I look at something like when it says 25% of absences were on Fridays, as opposed to every other day. Well,
But like every other company in the
Well, for
world.
5 days there are 5 days in the week, right? So there should be 25. There should be 20%.
20%. No, I think I believe what it said, and I thought that when I first
Yeah,
read
yeah.
it. So I'll excuse your obtuseness.
Okay.
But it was
Obtusivity.
the Fridays were 25%
Well, here we
higher
go.
than any of the
Right,
other days.
right. So-
No, not 20% of the total.
Yes.
It was 25%
Higher,
higher.
higher than
it would be
comparable
even
days.
It would be even higher than 20%. It would be 25%.
Because on a random, it should be
It would
20%.
be 20.
Right.
What they're saying, it was 25%
Right. So
above
yeah.
what it
So
should
So we're
be.
talking.
So 22% or whatever.
Here
or
we go.
22.5%, whatever. it
Okay,
is.
I just want to say,
But-
here's absentee reasons. So we're talking about absence. Sick day, there was 2018. That includes sick days, personal days, maternity, paternity. That's covered
That's
by
FMLA.
That's
so
covered
that's
by
broken
law.
out different. So what the biggest concern is non-consecutive. So if you're
Family
out,
medical leave,
that's
professional
fine,
travel.
especially when they're
But
consecutive.
if you were
it's
to,
not
if you were
the problem is when
the
they're
problem that people will be able to
non-consecutive.
understand,
Bereavement.
the problem people understand is that, for instance, if you take that we have, holiday Mondays, right?
Yeah.
For instance, right? So there are times in the
Good Friday.
So if you took the aberrations, right? Well,
38
Good Friday is not
religious
Good Friday is not a school holiday.
No.
Right, so unless it happens to fall in the school week, or the school vacation week. But I'm just saying, like, because there are some Mondays when the school district is closed on a Monday for a holiday, for instance, that would give you some bump on a Friday. So the nuance, so it's not true to say that a bunch of Manchester teachers, which is what this document would lead you to believe, even though no one's massaging them, you would say, look, people are taking Fridays off to get a longer weekend. That's what it looks like to me, and this is unjustified. There's a reason why people are doing it. Let me go, because you'll have time after I leave. But here's the bigger, I mentioned to someone was talking tonight. When I look at the Manchester School District over the last, say, the medium term, right, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, right, and teachers, we've seen teachers concede things, right, over time, and they've been asked to concede things in order to reach agreement. The bottom line for me last night, during that period. Even if the Board of School Committee and the taxpayers that they represent had kept their word and paid them what they said they were going to pay them, and reach agreements in good faith, right? And say, here's what this is. You come into our district. You're starting next Friday. Here's the contract for you.
Yeah.
This is how it works. There are 14 steps, for instance, and you can expect in 2037 to be earning this, and this is our agreement with you. And then we abandoned that agreement. We didn't. This Board of School Committee and ultimately the Board of Mayor and Alderman didn't put a dime last year for steps in the budget, right? There was never going to be. There was so they're never going to honor it.
A radar gun.
But even if let me make a point.
Yeah.
Even if you were to honor it all and you paid everything that what was agreed and it was paid and there was no gap in the contract, right? That it just continued. The fact is that during that period, without agreement from the teachers and they knowing this is going to happen to them, the school committee and the people that they represent have allowed class sizes to become the largest in the state, right?
Okay.
The pupil-teacher ratio, right, the highest in the state. The per-pupil spending, the lowest in the state. All these things have happened over, say, a 10-year period. Our teachers have gone from being paid on average in the state of New Hampshire to being paid below average in the state of New Hampshire.
But there's two groups. You can't compare everybody.
But
we have a lot of senior teachers who are making decent money up near the end. Our entry-level pay is definitely below average.
Yes.
But our upper pay is
But you
not.
see the big picture I'm making? I'm saying that the fact is that we've got a more diverse population, we've got a more needy population, we've got higher. If you were a guy pumping gas and you were doing 100 cars a day and you were asked to agree to a contract 4 years ago and you said, okay, okay, I don't like it, but I'll do it. And now you're doing 150 cars a day and you're not given the gloves anymore because you have to bring your own gloves to work, and and this keeps on happening.
But keeping in mind, though, that you're making some false.
Well, I'm not trying to be exact, but
for instance, we used to be a district of over 17,000 students.
Right.
We're now down to about 13,900.
right, we've eliminated
shed
14% of staff.
thousands and thousands of kids.
We've shed hundreds of teachers.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, and actually, I want to get back to that. So 10 years ago,
Yeah.
they had a contract that was too generous. It was too expensive for the city.
Only because the city chooses to fund the way it does.
Well, because we have the tax cap.
Yeah, okay.
So
Which is the bottom line.
going
right?
into it, some board members told the MEA, look, this contract is not affordable. The city and the MEA still have ratified it.
Right.
Before the end of the contract, the city couldn't afford it. To my understanding at that time, they also couldn't afford the policeman's contract, the fireman's contract, and correct me if I'm wrong, the firemen and the policemen reopened the contract because they wanted to avoid layoffs.
Okay.
The teachers didn't want to reopen the contract, and that's
Because
right,
they already had.
but there
Because
were
they already had.
massive layoffs.
Can I just? I have to go. Let me say,
Yeah,
John.
but
let me
it
just,
is 7:30.
Okay, I'm going.
You get the last
Okay,
word,
but
and then we'll talk
let me just say
it.
this, right. There are people on the school board and on the board of mayor and alderman who have voted a number of times over the last 4 or 5 years to up in Concord so that less money is coming to the city of Manchester, right, to help out taxpayers and to pay for schools. They've directly voted for legislation which has reduced
Like
the amount
Victoria
of
Sullivan.
which has reduced the amount of
Yeah.
money that was coming here for schools. Now, besides that, right, and now they want to sit here, having made those votes, and say we can't pay the teachers what we know you deserve because the tax cap. So we can. So we will, for instance, we'll change the 85% contribution for healthcare to 80%, and that will give us $900,000. And guess what? Now we have $900,000 that you just gave us, and I'm going to give it to you. My last point is I want to say this. Under the proposals that are likely to go before Governor Sununu in the next month or so or two, there are proposals for additional funding for schools, and in particular, in the first year in Manchester, it's 3.4 million or something like that would come to Manchester. In the second year, it's 16.7, I think, million, or almost $17 million. So if the governor didn't veto it, and if some of our school board members and board of aldermen members in Concord didn't vote with the side that's going to not allow the override of the veto, we'd have 16 point some million dollars coming into Manchester.
I don't think there's
year
anybody
after
up
next.
there that's voting against it.
Well, good. So then, if that's the case, no, but
Okay,
You've cast
16.
aspersions on
We're
it.
going to talk
okay,
about other
six-
I could probably
subjects
sue you
now.
for slander.
Okay, you could change your contract that you're negotiating
Jim.
in anticipation of the $16 million coming in. You could give
Jim.
every teacher a 5% pay increase.
You can have him on your show.
give
It's
money
time.
back to
We're
the
gonna start talking
taxpayers.
about other
So
subjects.
a bill that hasn't been passed, you want us
No,
to,
no,
to
no, but
make
I'm
a
just saying-
Ross,
statement?
what do you think about the homeless situation?
It's out of control.
Yeah, so this
Jim.
is great. We got to do some more of it, Ross. I
Keep
gotta
up
come
the
on
good
my
work
show.
here.
We'll
I
talk
want you to
about
run
it.
for office.
Yeah. Well,
He'll be
you know,
back. He'll be
I
back
gotta
It's
tell
an
you,
next week.
election.
I got to tell you, my answer to that for
Yeah.
20 years has been,
No.
Jim, you're going to get
No.
another $10 ticket.
and my answer to that is no longer no.
You're going to run for office.
I
Well,
haven't said that.
let's talk about that
Quick
afterwards.
question. You're going to challenge Mayor Craig for the progressive
No, but you're very warm.
Bernie
Okay,
Sanders?
so-
Green Party?
No, not about that side. but-
Okay, Jim.
So who's being challenged?
Well,
so,
I'll talk to you soon. You
so,
can come
yeah.
on next week.
You're going to
If
run
you
for
don't have
vice
anybody.
mayor?
All right, so I'm not making any announcements.
All right, but not now, but you will in the near future.
Okay,
When
Jim.
I
it's
re-
like you're like
when I
a
reach a
cat with
decision in
cat
due
nails.
course of time.
All right, well, feel free to pick my brain if you want, some help to come to that decision.
Okay, let's
I'll be
focus these
I'll be
refocus these
asking for
cameras.
your vote. That should be a
Right.
hint. Okay, so
So it'll be at large.
Okay, I'll
You
talk
heard
to
it
you.
here. Jim O'Connell's running for either alderman at large or school board at large.
Jim
Good.
O'Connell didn't say that.
I know, but Ross Terrio put words in
We'll
his
get
mouth.
you on Tuesday. We'll get him on Tuesday.
All right.
On your show too, and then you too. Maybe you can.
Thank you.
Gabe
Maybe you
Milfalta.
can.
Put 'em on, but it's not all yet.
Maybe you can squeeze out some of the words from that rhetorical tornado.
That was interesting. So it sounds like Jim's finally going to run for office this year. You hear to hear first. We forced him into.
Well, I hope it's for school board at large.
I'm assuming that's what it is, but I can't imagine you challenge Danny O'Neill or Joe Kelly.
Why not? I'm announcing Roppy and Hoppy a ticket. We're going to be running for alderman at Huge.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You and Elizabeth, who I care
Hoppy
about.
and Roppy,
I
or
really
Roppy
like
and
Elizabeth
Hoppy?
a lot. You guys are really running for alderman at
Alderman at
large.
Huge.
At large.
At Huge.
Serious? You're not pulling my leg.
Alderman at Huge.
That's not technically an office in the city of Manchester.
not.
No. There's an alderman at large and the school board at large.
I threw out my copy of the city charter after I got sued by Ted Gatz's. You sure it's not alderman at Huge?
No, that would be what
I'm
Trump
going
would
to be
say.
your alderman. That's huge.
Yeah, you might.
Will
So
I
you-
sit next to you?
Yes. So you and
That's
Elizabeth.
right. I would sit next
You
to
and Elizabeth are going to run for alderman.
At Huge, yeah. We're going to run as a team.
Really?
Hoppy and Roppy. We get cheaper banners and
I'm glad to hear that. I
posters
think
way.
Elizabeth has a good head on her shoulders.
Right, and if she happens to
And
come
you're a
in-
bomb thrower.
Hardly. And you're wearing blue.
Yes, sir.
You need. I have some red shirts.
With Che Guevara on them.
No, I don't. I'm not a communist.
Oh. Socialist?
No.
You like that? What's your favorite? He
Oh, we
wrote
have
a
an
people's-
incoming. We have an incoming
He
call.
wrote a People's History of the United States.
Hello,
Your favorite professor.
welcome to Ward 13. Just plain old Ward 13 today because Jim O'Connell has left us.
Yeah, he's left the building.
Hello,
Hi.
taking my call.
Hi.
Hey, listen, I just want to call in and say I'm really thrilled to hear that Ross Terrio is running for Alderman, Ward 7.
Is that you, Ed?
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, it is,
Sapienza.
yeah.
Are you running for Alderman in 8?
No, I'm really happy with
he's
my
the-
position as
he's
a
the Register of Good
and, Really
Deeds.
just learning that.
Oh,
I just want to spend
that's
more
right.
time with family, and yeah.
Now, do you, Ed, do you work with Elizabeth Ropp now that she's Register of Probate?
No, as you know, the Register of Probate has zero responsibility, so I saw her at swearing-in day, but we don't work together at all.
So she's a figurehead.
Yeah, there's no office.
However you want to.
Kinda like the Queen of England.
That's up to you. But listen, I'm really excited to hear that Ross is declared for Ward 7. Oh, this is a historic night, and I'm not just saying this because Ross is a good-looking guy. I mean, he looks good with his tie there, and he's got Ross. Put me down for a $5 campaign contribution, okay?
Oh,
There you go. Hey, with that salary you've got, you can afford the 10, can't you?
All right,
thanks,
take
Ed.
care.
Good to hear from
thank
you,
for
Ed.
that vote of confidence.
So,
So what a night of things. So I've announced, you and Elizabeth have announced.
For
Jim
Alderman a year.
O'Connell's unofficially announced.
I think he'd be great as
I think
school board
I think he's
at
going for
large.
school board at large. I think he is.
Yeah. So let's talk. We were going to talk about 4 issues, but I
What
guess
were
after
refresh
Jim's
my memory.
sidewinder, we were only going to get to 1.5.
He hijacked his show again.
Well, homelessness is a big issue.
Oh,
it never existed under Ted Gatzis. And suddenly, they swore in Joyce Craig. And suddenly, the homeless just descended on Manchester.
No, they
Like-
just
like
popped up like
locusts.
mushrooms.
Yeah,
Like
it's the
mushrooms.
Democrats.
No, well, remember the movie Field of Dreams?
Yes,
What was
I
the
do.
line? What was the line?
Build it and they will come.
Yes, that's our
But-
problem.
But those were built under the Gatzis administration. I understand that Ted Gatzis, one of the buildings, and this doesn't mean he's the landlord, they have a methadone clinic. And one of his big campaign contributors was a person that built
So,
the biggest.
Let's
drug
talk
rehab
about a
facility.
mutual friend of ours, Carol Robideau.
What about her?
Well,
I don't think you should talk to
I like
about
Carol.
her
Hold on.
the air without her permission.
Well,
I
so
have
free co-
Robbie's permission.
So you
to
don't
talk
very
about
believe in
her.
free speech. So she has the Manchester Inklink.
Democrat.
I read the Manchester Inklink. She had a story in there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
About you?
No. About a few months back where there was a guy, he had substance abuse issues, homeless. He's from a small town in New Hampshire. They said, we don't have the services to support you. Here's a bus ticket.
Yeah,
they
they
sent
get-
him to Manchester.
Oh, Joe Lavasser told me that years ago.
It's
And
happening all the time. So
when around 2015, to help veterans, they were from Portland, Maine, and they were from other places.
Yeah, we're
and
being dumped
unfortunately, the people they were selling marijuana, which I couldn't deal with that. Joe is right in the fact that people were being sent here.
they are being sent here. They're being sent because you have these
But
small
what's that-
towns.
What about we have the new hub and spoke system, the hub and spoke.
Yeah.
And suddenly, I guess it's the union leader and then Carol in Manchester Inklink, suddenly everybody's coming to Manchester. And Nashua, which I've been told by people, because I'm close to Litchfield, my father's hometown, and they're tied into Nashua, they're saying there's a drug problem there. But they're getting like 9 people, and we get like 400 and some odd. And that seems very strange. And the mayor was saying they're not even providing them transportation or anything down in Nashua and the other places.
Oh, to get to like the hospital or where they need to go.
Yeah, but I guess they have the bus tickets to good old dear old Manchester, huh?
Yep. And I just want to.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
that we're just supposing that
Here's
that
the
could
problem.
be true.
Manchester is the poorest municipality in New Hampshire.
Yeah, Nashua's income per medium income is $10,000 a year.
Higher.
Higher.
Wow. Which is a fortune. But
It
here's
is,
the
it is.
problem.
You have to pay tax
we
on
have
it.
we don't have a strong tax base. We're the poorest municipality in the state, and all these other cities and towns are balancing their welfare budget by sending people to Manchester.
Oh, yeah.
It's not right.
That's true. And
New
they
Hampshire,
use our police.
the
too.
rest of New Hampshire, how they use our police?
Well, Nick Willard, Granite Hammer was funded by us. You know that. Our police are at the Vanguard. And We didn't get reimbursed for that.
But the rest of New Hampshire is dumping their poor people on us, and we can't afford it. We need them. We need the governor to realize, to recognize.
What a campaign slogan. Ross Terrio, build the wall. Right around the 293. Is it 293? And
In 101, 293, yeah, kind of 93, 293, 101.
I'm so sick of those people from Bedford coming into Manchester and ruining things by by being able to outspend the.
No, but seriously, like with our methadone treatment, and I'm seeing people from all over the place coming into the hospital and getting
Right,
treatment.
you're at CMC.
I can't say where I work, but I do work at a hospital in Manchester. You have one of two. You have a 50% chance of being right. But the
Right.
hospital that I work at, I see lots of people from all over the state. I see people from other states coming in to Manchester.
Well,
You got-
Ted Gatzis, in his 2015 speech, was it 2015 or 2016? 2015 it was, his State of the City, he never said anything about drugs, even though we have a call. Hold on for a minute, caller.
you better answer that. They're going to hang up,
he
and
just
then you'll.
did. Are you there, caller?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Okay, hold on for a minute.
Just let him speak.
Now, Ted was
Thank you.
Ted was talking about. He never brought up, even though we had the spice epidemic in 2014. He never mentioned the drug epidemic during his speech until he started running for governor, and Sununu was making it into a big issue. But these problems were here. I got here in 2010, so I only know Gatzis. And you have to go back to Charlie Stanton in the 70s. Hey, Tom, welcome to Ward 13. Do you have a question for Ross Terrio?
Yes, I do. Hi, Ross. Tom
Hi.
from Ward 7.
Hi, Tom.
I've been a supporter of yours for quite a while. Keep
Oh.
up the great work.
Tom, were you the former air traffic controller?
No.
I'm thinking.
no.
Thinking of somebody else.
You'd recognize me if I gave you the name. But I want to wonder what you think about the Alderman giving away Derryfield Park, a section of Derryfield Park to Trinity High School, and the city spending
Right.
60% of the funding to build them a new lacrosse field, and the citizens of Manchester are shut off from the field. And I'll take my answer off the air. Thanks again
All right.
for all the work you do, Ross.
I know. Now I know who. it
Thank
is.
you, Tom. That's
He's-
an excellent question.
He's actually my neighbor. No, we disagreed
It's
with
one that
it.
Jim brought up.
We brought it up at the school board meeting. We disagreed with it. Their reasoning was that.
Art Poetry was very much against
Oh
it.
yeah, so the school
And I
board. I
agree.
was against it. The school board in general was against it. What we were told is that although not officially, unofficially, the Trinity has been using that part of the field for years. But no, we don't agree with it. It doesn't make sense to use a public facility to give it to a private thing, and then for us to spend money on it.
Right, and then eventually get it back, but that's after it's had its
Years and
usage.
years, and to take away the usage from the people of Manchester. There's the other complaint that we had, which upset us, was we've heard reports that they don't let the Manchester kids use the field.
I was shocked. I didn't know that you could constitutionally give money to a private school, private religious school.
I'm not sure about the legality of it.
I'm sure it's true because you're building a facility, and that way. Where's the ACLU on that?
Out to lunch.
They're hovering to file a lawsuit over the homeless.
So,
the Rochester, all the stuff we're waiting for. What is it? The decision on a Rochester lawsuit? Because in Los Angeles, Skid Row, there is a Skid Row, and it's hell on earth.
It's
I was
miles
there.
of tarps.
It's
And
unbelievable.
I would just want to get a segue into Elizabeth
Okay.
Ropp, the lovely Elizabeth Ropp, who's in the
None
thing.
of this sexist usage,
Okay.
Mr. Terrio.
She has come up with an unorthodox way of treating drug addiction. She uses acupuncture.
Oh yeah, it's very good.
And it's very effective.
She used acupressure buds in the ear, and it works for PTSD too.
So you've
She's
tried
done
it.
me a couple of times, and she went in front of, was it school board at Tim Bain, or was it Tim Baines?
I thought it was the alderman.
Because Tim Baines was enthusiastic. I thought she talked to the school board, but nothing happened there.
I don't
And then it
remember that.
just dead ended at the committee. The board of aldermen, they hear them, and they spend the money on something else. But it's very effective, and going to the school board meetings when I hear about the kids talking, like where I was there with the Central students.
We rotate, so we have
Right.
2 kids per meeting.
Right, I think I was there when Central was there, and they were talking about the stress a lot of the people from the inner city
Yes.
is in, and I'm thinking, my God, they're really like talking about conditions like PTSD, and which would explain a lot. When I really had bad PTSD, your cognitive abilities go down, and it would seem like a treatment like Elizabeth Rupp's treatment could help in schools, help with the firemen, help with everybody. And it's so cost effective, but, you know.
I had just a personal story. I had knee surgery about 1.5 years ago. I had my knee replaced.
Yeah.
After the surgery, I was stressed out, wasn't able to sleep. Just my mind was just,
Yeah.
I just couldn't stop thinking. Like I'd be up at night. So I just couldn't take it anymore. I went to see Elizabeth at the, what's it, Manchester Acupuncture Studios?
It's the Manchester Community Acupuncture
and what's nice is they don't turn anybody away. It's a sliding scale. You pay what you can afford.
right. And your first visit, I think, is free. It was for me.
But it was very helpful and helped me, helped get rid of my insomnia and overactive thinking after the surgery and helped me sleep. Get
Yeah,
some
it kind
peace
of
mind.
it wears you down.
It's very relaxing. I think I fell asleep.
I
in
mean,
the chair.
stress does.
When they stuck the needles in my head and my ear, I was so relaxed I fell asleep right in the chair.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can stay as long as you want. You got those nice recliners. But I think it would be an effective treatment. They're using it in other. It's starting to roll out in other cities.
I mean, what's to stop them from just doing it in the park? Just having licensed acupuncturists just giving people treatments to show them.
Well, you have to have the personnel to do it. I guess it's.
Somebody texting you?
No, I'm trying to find out. Hey, we should get. You want to try to give her a call?
Sure.
And that's your way of
All right. So, no,
weaseling
what
out of
was it?
these
Wait.
hard questions I'm
Oh, I
asking.
know. I
you.
like the softballs. But so what were the
Well,
four?
the homeless.
Wait, I want to pontificate on the Democratic primary.
Oh, we're not going to talk about the homeless anymore.
We can talk about that
I
too.
think it's a situation
Well, I
that
think
you can't blame on
if you
Ted.
drew a Venn diagram, the Democrats who are running in homelessness, there would be some overlap.
But I'm just saying, when you look at it, like I could blame Ted Gatzis for not
Yeah.
doing enough, and things. It's hindsight's 2020. It's not, and the new
If you have eyes in the back of your head.
Victoria Sullivan's going to blame Joyce, as if it all started when she got inaugurated on January 2nd, 2017. It takes, a community effort and people to actually look at this without rabble-rousing.
So you're a Democrat. I'm a Republican.
We're seguing. Right?
Yes.
You're taking over as the interviewer.
Exactly.
Okay.
But here's my thoughts on the Democratic primary. Personally, I think Biden is the strongest candidate that could beat Trump.
Joe Biden can beat Trump.
Yes.
I think he's the only Democrat that can. I think that was somebody, a very strong candidate, woman, of course.
But here's my thoughts on it.
He's never gotten through Iowa.
Joe, Biden, Bernie, and Elizabeth Warren are running for president. Elizabeth Warren doesn't have a chance, though. The rest are running for vice president. Klobuchar doesn't have a chance. But here's the thing for vice president. This really is, the Democratic Party is very big into identity politics.
Would you think because of the vice presidency would be important? Because if you have somebody that's 75 years old...
You need somebody younger.
Right.
In case he dies in office.
Because it could be just a one-term presidency.
Or not even a one-term, not even a whole term. But I believe it's going to be a woman and a person of color. Tulsi Gabbard, have you seen her speak? She has the personality of a wet cardboard box. She speaks in a monotone.
one of her videos.
Okay, she's very dull and boring. She doesn't even, there's no passion.
She's not a major candidate.
I believe, in looking at
What
people...
about Stacey Abrams? I really
No,
like her.
I really believe Kamala Harris is going to be the vice presidential nominee. I believe it's going to either be Biden, most likely, possibly Bernie.
I agree with you that
Biden
it's going to be
and Harris.
or-
It's going to be Biden and Harris is my prediction. And Biden can get enough blue-collar Republican white votes to beat Trump. He could. Not that he necessarily will beat. It's not a done deal, but he can beat Trump.
Yeah, but you see, you've got...
Elizabeth Warren can't beat Trump. I don't think so. She's just not... I cringed when I saw her on her YouTube announcement for president. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you've got to watch it. It was so cringeworthy. I'm going to go get myself a beer. Thank you, honey, for being here. Like, her husband lives there. It was just ridiculous. So she doesn't have a chance. Klobuchar doesn't have a chance.
She's very friendly with certain pharmaceutical executives. I think like Eli Lilly.
Yeah.
They get a lot of money, Ross.
She's not going to win. But I personally believe it's going to be Biden and Harris, possibly Bernie and Harris. So
It's the boomers' turn to be too old to be trusted.
I saw
This
that.
Was,
I did
that was
see
a good
that.
article. That was on Manchester Ink.
What else were we going to talk about? What were the 4 subjects? Homelessness?
Well, homelessness
Democrat?
is an issue that
But you know,
people are
it's like the
talking
old
about.
bumper sticker I used to see. If you were homeless, you'd be home right now. I mean,
I almost F-bombed.
here's the thing that
What would you support as an alderman? I mean, this is the issue that Joe Lavasser was going around with his camera trying to find that he finally, after weeks, found the turd on the ground around the new.
I think there's lots of turds on the ground.
Are we talking about politicians passed out or?
Yeah. Here's one of the things that I'm concerned about is with the homelessness. We're spending all this $2 million, I think, in the last budget on homelessness.
Yeah.
We need to spend our money first on the people of Manchester. Our schools, as you've heard, Jim was here, our schools are hurting. You know, we have a lot of people who are hurting as far as our elderly, who some aldermen aren't very big on, living in Manchester.
Are you talking about?
No, I'm not. No,
Are you
I'm not
talking
naming
about
any names. But
somebody that's going to be on the board of aldermen with you?
probably.
Chris Herbert?
No names. But
We got 5 minutes.
the first... Wow, time
Well, you'll be
flies.
back next week.
The first people that we have to worry about are Manchester's residents and voters, and then our schools. The homeless is secondary.
Yeah, but it's an issue in that they can
Well,
create
here's an argument that's out here. Let me-
crime, and really
Yeah.
a place can go to hell pretty quick.
Yes.
Like I'm saying, Los Angeles, Skid Row, it is like a vision of hell.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived in New York City in the 80s. I lived in Boston when they called them bums. And
let me ask you this.
all of a sudden, the big cities are arriving in Manchester.
With all the services, so we have a homeless shelter, we have soup kitchens, we have methadone clinics. Do you think that attracts?
Of course it does.
So
That
basically,
brings it
we're
right to it.
inviting homeless people in.
We are a magnet.
with obviously with the filth, with people defecating on the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Crime, aggressive panhandling.
Yeah, it would take, but the state would have to step in and put a place in Bedford. That's not going to happen.
No, you're right.
They're not going to they put them right in a city. So in the state of Michigan and the state of New York, they give extra money to Detroit, and they gave extra money to, Detroit was such a basket case, to try to keep it from just becoming disintegrating completely. And New York had special help because everybody goes to New York from all over the country, if not the world. That was a place that, that's the last stop. So in Manchester's becoming a place in northern New England, like the last stop for so many people.
Well, you know who's having the same problem that we're having? Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
The homelessness is out of control. What do you think of that movie? And I haven't seen it. I've just heard
I
reports.
saw
of
the beginning of it.
Seattle's dying.
I saw the beginning of it. I haven't watched it all. Why don't we both watch it and we'll talk about it next week?
But we still have 5 minutes. What else were
3
we going to talk
minutes.
about? 3 minutes. Okay.
Do you have a lot of money? Do you have a real war chest?
No, I don't. I don't have. Most of my money goes to my wife and my kids. So I'm going to have to do it the
Who's the-
old-fashioned way and go door to door.
That's the best way.
I don't
You're
know.
well known.
I'm known.
Brenda knows you, though.
Brenda did. Brenda
she got
did
within 100 votes of
Billy Shea, so she almost won last time. She didn't. She's very. We were
We
talking
were-
to her
we
earlier.
saw her.
She's very personable. She's attractive. She's smart.
None
She's
of that Me Too stuff.
she's not going to. It's not going to be a cakewalk. And I like cake, but it's not going to be a cakewalk.
What about
or a picnic?
You haven't reached the art poetry where every election's a cakewalk.
There's been
He's
some
never been
rumors.
opposed
I thought
the time I've lived here.
Candace Holton, who was running against Barbara Shaw. I thought she was going to run for. I had heard rumors she was going to run against Arthur. But I still think he's going to have a challenge.
Why would
this
she
year.
run against Barbara Shaw?
She's running for alderman. I don't. She's a Democrat. I don't know why the Democrats are
She was
challenging
going to run
the
for
Democrat.
school board.
That's what I heard her too. Now she's announced that she's running against Barbara.
She's not going to beat Barbara Shaw.
No, I mean if what's Burkish.
So Burkish isn't running.
Well, I don't know that, but if Burkish can't beat Barbara, Candace can't beat him.
Well, Burkish came close.
Yeah, 40 votes, 50 votes.
Yeah. Barbara's vulnerability was last year. Well, not last
Yeah.
cycle.
But,
because of the for what she had nothing to do with, the Walmart, which she opposed, and she got stuck with
It wasn't her fault. But
Who do you think in 8? Ed's not going to run.
I've heard rumors that Porter's going to run. I hope he does.
Mike Porter
Yeah.
is in 8?
I've heard rumors. Porter, where's Ricker from? Where did
don't
Ricker
know.
run? Was that 6?
I'm not sure.
He ran against, I thought Cataldo had a challenger last time. I thought it was Ricker. in the
No, that
primary.
was the former firewoman, Betsy DeVries.
Yeah, but I thought it was a 3-way primary. Am I wrong? I was thinking there was a Ricker.
Okay, we only got a minute, so
All right.
why don't you make a spiel?
All right.
Sell yourself, and you're coming back next week.
Yes, I'm coming back next week.
Say where
Ross
they can
Terrio,
go.
longtime resident of Ward
Look right in
7.
there.
I'm former state rep up in Concord. I've been
Good guy.
good guy, modest. 3 terms on the school board.
According to Ed Sapienza, handsome.
Yeah,
you got 10 seconds now. Vote for me.
All right, my phone number is 603. My cell phone is 603-820-9064. Feel free to call me and ask me any questions about my candidacy.
Okay, we'll be
and I'll be
ba-
back next week to talk more.
We'll be back, and maybe we'll corral Jim. You go on his show first.
Jim O'Connor?
So we don't have that
O'Connor.
that tsunami rhetoric.
yes.
Although I love it, don't you? Bye, everybody.
So-
We'll see you next week here with Ross Terrio on Ward 13.
Ward 7.
What's the issue?
Ward
I get
17.
a terrible awful ache,
This is
especially
for Rich.
when it rains. At first I was afraid-y cat, but now I know it's growing pains. Gosh, oh gee, oh can't you see I'll soon be grown up tall? So I've got to think what I will be when I'm no longer small. When I grow up in a year or 2 or 3, I'll be happy as can be, like a birdie in the tree. When I grow up, I want to be a teacher so the children can say, oh teacher dear, the gang's all here with apples today. When I grow up, I will have a big surprise, for I'll bake the kind of pies that will make you roll your eyes. And if you see that you need some company, you can call me up and I'll come down when I go up.
What's the issue? So what did I do? So what did I do? What's the issue?
I get a terrible, awful ache, especially when it rains. At first I was afraid-y cat, but now I know it's growing pains. Gosh, oh gee, oh can't you see I'll soon be grown up tall? So I've got to think what I will be when I'm no longer small. When I grow up in a year or 2 or 3, I'll be happy as can be.